Hello, my name is Eddie. I'm going to discuss with you the assessment one of BSBMKG501, identify and evaluate market opportunities. Right, just enlarge the screen. Okay, the purpose of this presentation is to discuss the task requirements of assessment one, and we are going to discuss the concepts, tools to address all tasks. Okay? Now, before we move on, let's have a look at the subject information. So this unit is actually about building the skills and knowledge required to identify, evaluate, and take advantage of market opportunities by analyzing market data, distinguishing characteristics of possible markets, and assessing viability of changes to operations. Okay, that may sound a little bit complicated for us. Okay, so what does this mean in practical terms? All right, let's step back a little bit. Businesses need to drive growth, right? Therefore, they need to identify market opportunities. Now, what are the sources of market opportunities? They may include new products, new services, or new markets, such as new channels or customers. In regards to new markets or new customers, we need to specify the product or service because we need to offer something. Remember what we mean by marketing. And to help us understanding this further, we can also refer to ENSOF matrix or product market expansion grid to drive business growth. Okay. For this assessment, we recommend you to focus on new products or services. You can also refer to new markets, but I would recommend you to focus on new products or services. Okay. And please refrain. I put it in the bold in here. Please refrain yourself from proposing promotional ideas, although promotional ideas may also drive business growth because they are not the purpose of the subject. Okay, the purpose of the subject is to grow the business through marketing opportunities, new marketing opportunities, which can be defined as new product, new service, or new market. Okay. All right, what are the examples of new products or new service ideas? Okay, well, look, I'll leave it to you because in real life, we got to be able to relate the opportunities or new product or new service ideas to the situation that we are facing. Okay, and what are the examples of promotional ideas? Lots of them. Okay, could be apps, it could be loyalty card, it could be giving discounts, giving free tasting, and so on and so forth. Okay, but essentially they are promotional IDs, and again, we are not identifying promotional IDs because they are tacticals. Okay, which is driven by more strategic elements. Okay, in a nutshell, in terms of new products or services, okay, we can refer to what we mean by products. Okay, product can be defined as anything that can be offered for attention, acquisition, or consumption by customers that might meet their need. Okay, so that has the purchase element. In other words, we are going to generate IDs that will be purchased by the customers. Okay, so either that will be product ID or service ID. Okay. Okay, so in brief, we are going to discuss driving business growth through new product development to address these assessments. Okay? In a larger sense, we are going to find growth opportunities through innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship, if you like. Okay. Yep. So the creative idea in here is actually in the area of cafe industry through driving new product or service or potentially new markets in order to drive business growth. Okay. So let's take this case to practice our entrepreneurship skills. At the end of the day, we also need to demonstrate that in our organization. Okay. Okay. Why new products or new service or new market? Well, they're critical for businesses. Okay, new products are critical for businesses because they drive business growth. They also help the organization to stay competitive. Right? In other words, they help the organization to build competitive advantage. Right? But in saying that, if you look at new product launches in the market, the chance for new products to fail in the market is quite high. Okay, some scholars suggest 35% of the new product would fail in the market. Okay, in saying that again, it is actually the lifeblood of business growth. Okay, because products may be declining in interest, therefore we need to keep pipelining new product ideas or new service ideas, and or it could also be new market ideas. Okay. Okay, now let's have a look at the case study. Okay. Your case study is about a cafe industry. It is the first, it's first cafe. Okay. Now, please make sure that if you need some adjustments regarding the case study, please discuss with your TAFE Autan teacher. Do not submit your assessment with a different case study or a different business without consultation with your TAFE Autan teacher. Okay. Failure to do so may lead you to resubmit your assessment since the case may not offer your case or the new case or the new business that you suggest may not offer the information that you need for this unit. Okay, so please make sure you do the consultation. Right? Okay, so let's have a look at the scenario, the case study in brief. Right? It is cafe industry, please learn it. Okay, it is growing business. They are in the early stage of their inception, just a couple of years. And the products and services include hot and cold beverages like cakes, pastries, and simple dishes for lunch. Right? Target market of this business includes young, affluent residents and professionals from the surrounding area. So you can imagine local business. Okay, and since it is a fictitious company, you can take a real-life cafe in your area as your model. Okay, and you can also look at the competitors around that area to model your business as well, because it's a fictitious company. Okay. And possible customers' needs referring to the case study include the environment, friendliness of the staff, and the quality of food and service. Okay? So there are a brief overview. Okay? From a financial perspective, the case study also suggests some key figures like the revenue, $800,000, COGS, 60%, marketing and operational expenses, 27.5%. So they have the net profit of $100,000. Okay? And from financial perspective, they also have coffee and pastries products contributing 80% of sales and profits. Right? So there are key financial figures that we also need to consider when it comes to outlining our profitability later on in assessment 2. Okay? Okay, this is a list of the suggested approach. Okay, we recommend you to visit a cafe to appreciate the business. This allows you to observe the product service that this business or this kind of business is offering. Okay? Trust you would enjoy. Okay? And you can also Google some websites, highly recommended, on cafe industry such as product services, etc. And download the Abyss World Report from the OLS. Download the Abyss World Report from the OLS. It has been uploaded on the OLS, so you can download the file. I would strongly recommend you to look at the to research Thai Western Sydney Institute library, online library, okay? And you'll find available information about this industry, and this also helps you with your research skills. Okay? So remember, there is no marketing genius actually. The so-called marketing genius has sharp analytical skill that lead them to ideas. So ideas. Right? At the end of the day, at the workplace, we are required to contribute with our ideas. Right? A bit of websites to help us understanding some information about the industry. You can Google them yourself, and to help you with your research. Right? Now let's discuss the tasks. Okay, before addressing task 1, okay, I would recommend you to outline a brief introduction about the industry. You know, you introduce the business. Okay, the business is in cafe industry. Okay, outline briefly with whatever you know. You can refer to the IB's work report that you download from the OLS. Okay? And you can also outline a brief information about cafe, about first cafe business. Okay, like any other introduction, if you introduce your friend, you explain briefly about your friend. Okay, this is John, my friend. John is a friendly person. Right? He works for Thai, for instance. He's a good-looking person, and so on and so forth. The key information about this person. Okay? Right, now let's have a look at task 1. Okay, research the market that either First Cafe or your chosen organization operates, and conduct an external analysis, which is based on pastel analysis. Okay, let's have a look at that. Okay? Addressing task 1A, pastel analysis. Now, what is pastel analysis? Pastel analysis is basically part of the macro environmental forces, okay? And they are the largest societal forces that may affect everyone. Okay? That includes the marketing organizations or ourselves, these our suppliers, our competitors, our customers, and so on and so forth. Okay? And pastel are external forces that change over time. Okay? Now, this is important for us. The purpose of doing pastel analysis is to understand changes that affect the business. Okay? Understand the changes, and in brief, there are 2 things that we need to look at: changes and impact. How do they affect us? Okay? In doing so, please detail them by showing the data or facts that you research, either from ABS, Ocean Bureau Statistics, or IB's work report. Okay? All right, now this is showing us actually the elements of a modern marketing system. Okay, if this is us, the company, we try to get the consumers, okay, and in offering the value for consumers, we actually need to work with the marketing intermediaries, like our distributors, and we also need to monitor our competitors, and again, we also need to work collaboratively with the suppliers. Okay. And on top of that, we have what we call as the major environmental forces or macro environmental forces. They are the ones that that we need to analyze. Your pastel, okay, or past. Okay, some experts suggest these guys are past, steep, pastel, or macro environmental forces. They are the same thing. Okay, and if you look at these slides, they are basically long list of past elements. You can also download it from your learning material. Okay, do you have to analyze everything? No, you don't. Okay, what you need to do though is to pick up a couple of things. For instance, from political, another set of variables from economic, social, and also technological. Okay? What are the factors that you need to select under political, economic, social, and technological? Well, I'll leave it to you. The main points are basically you need to be able to find out which ones are affecting your industry, right? Which ones are affecting your industry, either in the, favorably or unfavorably, okay? So when you have to stop analyzing past, well, if you have got strong opportunities and if you have got strong threats or strong negative past, okay? You can also use this template. So if you use this template, let's say the political, you specify the factor, either regulation, for instance, you explain. You specify the regulation. Is that about the new taxation law, for instance, that you talk about, and then you analyze how they change from what to what, okay, how they affect them, how they affect the business, okay? And from economic perspective, you go back to the previous one. Let's say you look at economic growth in Australia, you look at the government spending, or you look at the interest rate, for instance, and you outline the changes in terms of interest rates. If you show the the graph that shows the changes, that's perfect. Okay, and you outline how they affect the business. Okay, and here is your verdict, whether it is positive or negative. Now, in saying that, please make sure you only put either positive or negative, just one of them. It can be both. It can be it can be neutral. Okay, if you find it neutral or both positive and negative, there are two possibilities in here. First, either your research is not comprehensive enough, or there's no impact at this, probably. Okay, if that is the case, then you should ignore that factor, right? Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea, okay, in terms of pastel. Now let's move on. The next thing that you need to do is outlining the 3 potential new products and or services, okay, that you can suggest for first cafe business. Okay, now so in brief, we need to suggest 3 potential new ideas. Make sure you have 3, okay, and use market data to justify either ABS or IBIS World Report or whatever. Okay. Now, guys, please make sure that you stay away from these ideas like apps, SMS system, or loyalty card, all right, because they are promotional tools. Apps, SMS, for instance, is a digital communication tool or part of integrated marketing communication or promotional activity. Okay, so please stay away from those guys. Okay, we want you to drive the innovation through bringing new business venture with these units. Okay, we need that kind of idea and to drive the growth. Now, you may disagree about that, but look, for countries like Australia, especially, in my observation, we need to drive innovation, to drive economic growth. Okay, and if you refer from economics perspective, economists have been suggesting that our system, our capitalism system, will always be able to survive because of the innovation. Look at the entrepreneurs such as Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, for instance. They have been driving the economic growth, right? During the economic hard times last time, for instance, Ray Kroc launched the first McDonald's store, for instance, and Bill Gates launched Microsoft, for instance. Okay, so yes, we need ideas like that to help us driving the business growth. Okay, and eventually that helps us driving the economic growth. Okay. Okay. Now, so we need to outline 3 potential ideas at least. Okay, to meet the assessment task requirement. Okay, and brief reason why. Okay, now in terms of brief reasons of your potential ideas, okay, either new product, new service, or new market, such as expanding to new geographic area, for instance. Okay, please outline the reasons, and ideally your reasons. I'd like to see whether your reasons are related to your past analysis or not. Okay, please use your past analysis, because your past analysis should be able to generate opportunities and threats, and they become your idea. Okay, and if you look at what we mean by entrepreneurship, it is actually a risk-taking behavior. Entrepreneurs take the risks in seizing the opportunities, right? They look at problems as opportunities, right? And they come up with the innovative ideas. So that's you. Okay? And explain the source of information. Where did you get that information? Right? If it is your past analysis from, let's say, social analysis, let's say, lifestyle changes, you get it from Sydney Morning Herald or Avis World Report. That's one that you want to put in. Right? Now, the next one is market potential estimate. Okay, this one here requires you to do a bit of numbers. You can refer to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, for instance. You can look at the let's say in your local area, let's say if you model that, let's say Sydney, somewhere in Sydney, you look at that area, look at the demographic profile, how many people are there, look at the population, okay, and estimate that. You estimate the number of potential buyers from that information, from that demographic data, and you multiply that with the amount of money spent in a week, and multiply that by 52, because we have 52 weeks. You can also assume that the cafe operates in 48 weeks, for instance, in a year. Okay, and you'll get the market potential estimate based on that. Okay, let's say, for argument's sake, we have in some area. Okay, we have 10,000 potential customers. Right, and this is the idea in here is to expand the outlet to, for argument's sake, suburb, whatever, XYZ, okay? And we know that we, based on the Australian Bureau of Statistics, we understand that there are 10,000 people, roughly, okay? And each of them in a week may spend roughly $10. Okay? You multiply that by 52, then you get your market potential, okay, for that week, for that market, for that idea. Okay. All right, so hopefully that gives you a bit of idea in terms of estimating market potential. Okay. And then the next thing is to select two ideas and justify them. Okay, so we have got 3, and we narrowed that down to 2. Okay, 2 IDs. So we outline that 1 and 2 and justify that, briefly justify either market sizes or market potential is larger, or it is more manageable, or whatever justification that you have, as long as it is related to the IDs that you select. Okay? Or probably competition is lighter, level of competition is lighter, for instance. Okay? All right, now task 2 actually requires us to use a 4 or 5 forces model and SWOT analysis to still evaluating them, to evaluate these 2 IDs. Remember, we come up with the outcome of your task 1 is actually to generate 2 IDs. We select 2 IDs from 3 IDs. Okay? Let's look at the 4 or 5 forces model to evaluate 2 IDs. Okay. And using 4 or 5 forces, we can rate them based on high, moderate, or low. Right? These are basically the 5 forces that we just talk about. Okay, and you can refer to Mind Tools, for instance, to have more information about the analyzing these 4 or 5 forces. And essentially, Porter revealed that there are 5 forces that shape the competition. So these forces basically affect how we can compete in the market. Okay, these forces basically affect the competition. Therefore, we need to adjust our strategy because they eventually affect the profitability or attractiveness of the industry eventually. Okay? So, in brief, it is a useful tool to assess the industry attractiveness for new product IDs or new service IDs or new market IDs. Okay, now these are basically symptoms that you want to look at, the indicators that you want to look at. Okay, so for instance, competitive rivalry. Okay, competitive rivalry is actually affected by a number of competitors, quality differences, other differences, switching costs, and also customer loyalty. Okay? So you need to evaluate those things to justify whether company rivalry in that industry is high or low. Okay. Again, if it is high, that means bad for us because the competitive force in here is quite high. Okay. Buyer power. Again, there are some symptoms that we want to look at. Such as the number of customers, size of each order, the customer size. If the customer's order size is large, then their power is higher than us. Right? And differences between competitors. If we have similar offering to the competitors, then that's it. Our buyers can select anybody. That means our buyers have options. Okay. As a result, they have higher power. Okay. And the other one, let's say, ability to substitute same thing to differences. If they can select different brands or different products or different companies, then their power is high. Okay? And the same thing for the others. Please have a look at these symptoms to justify or to assess whether each force has high, moderate, or low power. Okay. Right, so you can also use this template to analyze 4 or 5 forces. And here, rivalry, buyer power, supplier power, threat of new entry, and threats of substitute. You can use high, moderate, and low, but please do your analysis in here. Okay, you can rate them. Oops. You can actually rate them. Let's say high is write them from 1 means low, and let's say we have 3 rating scale. 2 means high, 3 means high. Okay, so rivalry quite high. Okay, so we write it as 3 high. Okay, 3, and we show the analysis. Okay, why we say 3? Here we need to show our analysis. Referring to the previous concept, referring to these symptoms. Rivalry is quite high because we have many competitors. Okay, if we refer to the local area, we found lots of competitors. Okay, and these guys have their own loyal customers, for instance. Okay, group of customers prefer to go cafe ABC. The other group of customers prefer to go to cafe DF, and so on and so forth. Okay, so company is quite high. Okay, and we do the same thing for buyer power, supplier power, and so on and so forth. And overall attractiveness in here, you can add this figure here. You can add the rating. Okay, let's say we get 15 for argument's sake. Okay, and we do the same thing for opportunity 2. Okay, whether it is, let's say this moderate opportunity 2. By the way, please change the opportunity name into your own product name or market ID. Let's say move to ABC suburb, and this guy he is basically expand to XYZ suburb. Okay, moderate in here, so that means 2. Okay, and we add them all again. Let's say that comes up to 12. Now that tells us that this guy is more attractive for us from 4 or 5 forces analysis. Okay. Right. The next thing that we need to do is the SWOT analysis. SWOT is a strategic fit analysis between internal and external. Okay. And look, strengths and weaknesses are internal. They represent the organization's assets, capabilities, or resources. Okay. So strengths and weaknesses in here are not about pros and cons of the product IDs or the service IDs or the market IDs. Okay, so we are not telling with the strengths and weaknesses analysis, we are not going to say this product ID is great because the market size is larger than the other one. No, we are not going to talk about it. We are not going to analyze pros and cons of the product ID. We are going to analyze the organization's asset, capabilities, and resources. How do you know that? You can refer to the short scenario. You can infer from the short scenario. Let's say this company is about $800,000. The turnover now is $800,000. What does it mean for you? Okay. Okay. So what are the examples of asset, capability, and resources that helps us defining the strengths and weaknesses? They could be the brand reputation, brand name, employee loyalty, the human resources, financial resources, access to customers, access to suppliers, patents, knowledge, location. Okay, they are part of the asset that the organization controls in the competition. Okay? Now, how do you know the opportunities and threats? You go back to your past analysis. Favorable past go into your opportunity. Unfavorable past go to your threats. Right? With that, we are actually linking the situation analysis with the SWOT analysis, okay, to have an intact strategy. Okay, so you can use this template as well to help us assessing the SWOT. And again, you can rate it from 1 to 5, okay, or from 1 to 3. Let's say 1 being low. Oops. 1 being low and 3 is high. Okay, so what do you think your strength in that industry? Okay, the strength in that industry may be different to the other industry. Okay, let's say if we are based in Sydney and one idea is to move to Melbourne, for instance, we have little knowledge about Melbourne market, so our strength in here would be low. Okay, or in other words, our weakness in here would be high. Okay, so that's your analysis. Okay, either brand or location and so on and so forth. Okay, you can write them as well. Okay, and that leads you to the overall assessment. Same thing as you do for 4 or 5 forces. Okay, all right. Please refer to the case study for strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats. Again, please refer to your past analysis. Okay. Okay, so what's next? Please do not get frustrated, okay? Because I think we can offer you a better idea. Attempt assessment 1. Contact your TAFE O10 teacher to get help, and this is our phone number, and this is our email address. Okay? And these are basically the business marketing team who will be able to help you with your questions. Okay? And this is me. Okay? That's my references. Okay, and good luck. Thank you very much.